Welcome here, episode 5.
Yes.
How's it? We're doing an early morning episode today, so
Yes.
it's a little different than usual.
Crack of dawn, 9:30.
Crack it on for Tyler.
Lace up your chucks and pull up your panties. You're listening to Strong and Petty with Devin, Dave, and Tyler.
Let's say we're both morning guys.
Yeah, like I said, I was up at 7 this morning. I hit my hot tub, relaxed a bit.
I've become more of one, actually since COVID. Because I used to work in the bars before COVID. So it would be like 4 was a regular bedtime, 4 a.m. Yeah. And then you wake up just whenever the fuck you wake up. But
It's hard to break that cycle.
It was really hard. And now I'm pretty normal. Like I'm at a point where like midnight's about as late as I stay up. But it still feels early enough to be here, that's for sure.
Well, Friday, today is Good Friday, so we're recording anyways. Good Friday it'll be Tuesday when it gets released. But so I'm usually up at just after 5 to go to work anyways to drive the city. so I'm at my office by 7 in the morning, sitting there with the guys. So I was like, hey, let's record early. It's right up my alley.
You guys in those like bedroom communities, that fucking blows my mind. I see your lifestyle out in St. Malo, and I'm like, this would be so nice. And then it's just like driving to the city every day, like immediately, like, nope, would never fucking do it.
Because you go so early, or the drive itself?
Both really. I drive to St. Malo once a week right now, and that feels like plenty. That feels like way, way more than enough. I'm going there on Sunday again, and it's just like, I don't know. Well, it's I guess because it doesn't help that I've done like a whole day of event training by the time I'm driving home, so I'm like covered in tacky, and
the way home would suck.
It does, yeah. And like no one's when you're going out there, you're excited to lift, so everyone's like talking and bullshitting and stuff, and then the way back it's just like a dead silent car. I'm listening to
just depressing
music on the way home. Yeah, and it's just like not even fire up music anymore. You're just like, holy fuck, I just want to get home and drop all these guys off.
Yeah, that was like the old Brent Ham days.
Exactly the same.
On the way to the farm. Yeah, conversation's flowing.
We're going to do this comp later, and I'm going to try this, and then driving home.
You fail 3 lifts, you want to hang yourself on the way home.
Well, that's what I was going to say, too, is that if you had a bad day, it's even worse.
Yeah.
If you didn't get the lifts you wanted, you're even more pissed off. Like
And then you got an hour of the guy next to you who hit all his lifts, talk about how good he did.
How fucking awesome he is.
Yeah.
So we had the novice competition at Devin's gym on Saturday. We'll get a little more to that in a minute, but it was really, really good. But me and Dan and a few other guys actually stayed and trained afterwards. Reggie was there too. And we didn't leave your gym until 7 p.m. that night.
Yeah, you guys were there late.
Yeah, we got there at 9, left at 7. And then Dan, on top of that, has to drive an extra hour. Like, whatever I have to drive home, I can't complain, because then I know Dan has to drive 1 more hour and change home to Sandy Hook after that.
Yeah.
So I was home at 8. He was home at like 9:30. So
yeah, I'm like, the guys are like, you training after the comp? I'm like, yeah, I'll train. My back was cooked after just standing all day because it's just not there yet. And so they're training, and I looked at them like, I'm going to Santa Lucia. So I took off. They're training, and we all took off for pizza.
You made the better choice.
Yeah.
Sure.
Nice.
But speaking of that competition, though, Devin, do you want to get into it a little bit? It was your
Yeah. So we did the novice comp. Amazing turnout. We had 34, well, no, because I actually forgot somebody. So 35 competitors signed up. 2 weren't able to make it from injury. So I think we had 33 show up on the day. Correct me if I'm wrong, might have been 32. Anyways, and we had at one point, Jose did a count because we had a guest ref, Jose, who was world champion arm wrestler, which is phenomenal.
Jose Morno.
Yeah, she did strongman too. She's an arm wrestler. Won the Arnold.
Yeah.
French.
She's still around.
She came and reffed.
We've kind of pulled her back into the scene a little bit lately.
Nice.
So yeah.
So
nice.
she reffed. She did a rough count at one point. We had over 120 people. We had over 120 people at the comp. Which in my gym,
I can believe that. It was
my gym is
in there.
That's awesome.
My whole building is 3,200 square feet. But we got the apartment in front that had a 2-story apartment that was rented out. Now it's office. And the washroom, there's maybe 2,600 square feet of floor print. I bet you that is gym. Now you got all the gym equipment there as well. Like all I have is the turf, and we had 120 people. It was stacked.
They were
That's awesome.
Rafters,
we had to have the fans go and the doors open because it was so hot in there from all the body heat. But it was the energy, the volume from people, the cheering. Yeah. It was probably, and I've been to a lot of good comps because we've put on a lot of great shows. But it was actually probably one of the funnest comps I've been to in years.
I think so. Yeah.
Just because everybody was first time competitors. Some were just getting back to sport, like Nathan Pauls and my buddy Jeff there. They were getting back into it from they haven't competed in 10 years. We let them in, but the energy from these guys, like It reminded me of the old days.
That's awesome.
It was nice because it was like there was people who were. I mean, obviously everyone who's in that room is there to support an athlete. Like they're there for somebody. But there was nobody that everyone was like quiet for. There was nobody that, like, a lot of people showed up there with just like their wife or by themselves even.
Yeah.
But there was still like loud noise for everybody who was competing, lifting it every time. It was really nice. It was really cool. And like Devin said, there was a few guys who were like kind of making like very long hiatus returns, where it was like long enough, and
like 10 plus years.
Yeah, that we were like, okay, we can call that novice again. But for a lot of people, it was like brand new, like first time, especially the ladies who most of them.
Yes.
It was their first time competing.
And we got some signups into Tolstoy from it.
Yes, that's the best part is that we did what we achieved what we wanted to do, which was like retention.
Yeah.
Like have people like rolling over into the next thing and stuff. Yeah. So I think that we have a bunch of people, and we haven't like officially announced it, but everyone knows that we have one in Vita on Canada Day.
Yeah.
And I think that that'll see a good sign up too, because a lot of people are like, well, if I can't do one, can I do another? So hopefully that one of those two will be where people start to make their jump into more serious strongman.
Well, Vita, is that
Canada, July 1st.
No. Where is Vita?
Oh, it's Jan Seed.
I don't even know if you just said
There's
a real
Dad
word.
Seed and Jan Seed. Dad Seed's on that side of the river, and Jan Seed's the other side of the river. It's the old Mennonite saying is Dad Seed and Jan Seed.
What does that mean?
It's Little German teach.
What does it mean though?
So I think it's now. Oh man, now the Mennonites are listening. We're gonna bitch at me for getting this wrong, but
which is like 90%
so what's like kind of like you guys stay like the other side of the tracks. Well, for the Mennonites, the other side of the river, Jan Seed and Dad Seed.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Mennonites are weird, hey?
No, so Vita's half an hour south of St. Malo.
Good. We've scared off all the non-binary people. Now we're chasing away the Mennos. Doomed.
Yeah, so it's half hour south of.
I'm thinking of Dominion City.
Dominion City was where that's where my mom grew up, and that's where we did that provincials one year.
Yeah.
So Dominion
but they're
City's-
very close to each other.
Dominion City would
Are
be,
they?
No.
Aren't they?
No, well, because Dominion City would be more southwest. Vita's southeast from
okay.
St. Malo.
Okay.
Fuck, I don't even know
Speaking
that.
of Dominion City, I walked in my gym yesterday. Actually, I texted you. Yeah, you replied. Just get my gym. I had a buddy, Pat, message. He was like, hey, 3 guys just snuck in through the back door of the gym. And I always have it locked because that's the entrance I use, but I left it open. I'm like, fuck, these little buggers again. Like, 'cause I have kids who won't pay their membership, and then they'll sneak in the back door to work out. And I'm like, man, like,
holy shit.
Especially out there.
Yeah, like, I'm kind of like, if they don't have the money for it, come talk to me. Because if you're that passionate about lifting weights that you'll sneak in the gym when it's literally 200 feet from the front door of my house, I can see you sneaking in the door.
That's
You
the
gotta be
ballsiest
pretty
thing that I
ballsy.
could possibly imagine.
So then talk to me. Because if you're passionate about lifting, I'll help you out. But
Yeah.
these kids sneak in the back door, and I got cameras, and Pat texts me. He's like, these guys just snuck in your gym. Shit. Okay. I'm like, and I'm checking the cameras. I don't recognize them. I go in there, and I was grumpy because I had just left jiu-jitsu. I got kneed in the balls. I got choked out by the coach. I got just absolutely ragdolled yesterday.
And then the session started.
Yeah. And then, yeah. And then Danielle put her clothes on. So, and then she let me go to class. But so then I go in the gym, and these kids, and the one kid was a member. His membership was just, he just hadn't renewed it. And there's other 3 kids. I'm like, you guys pay your drop-in fee? I'm like, no, but where do we put it? They have their cash on them. And I was grumpy. I'm trying not to be grumpy because, I own the gym. I got to be nice. And I'm like, oh, where are you guys from? Like, Dominion City. And I'm like, oh, and then I'm talking to Patton about the podcast, and this kid, he's a bigger kid. I don't know, he's 15, 16 years old. And he's like, oh, I know, I listen to your podcast. I'm like, you listen to our podcast? Like, how do you know about our podcast?
No.
Yeah. And he's like, well, Tyler's
James
my
sex toys. Whoops.
yeah. Well, that's a huge dildo. And he's like,
Not to Brett.
is that the suction
That's
cup
called
one?
a normal dildo.
And he's like, well, my cousin's Tyler. So I go follow all his strongman stuff. And I'm like, they're all from Dominion City's kids. And they paid right down there. Can we sign up though? Like, we brought money to sign up. Oh, I'm like, well, deal with Danielle. I said, I'm a grumpy asshole today. So go deal with my wife. I'm sorry, I'll be nicer to you next time. And we joked around for a bit, but it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's nice to see those kids. Like they're.
So it's your cousin?
Yeah.
It's my cousin's kid. So they're. It's crazy though because I haven't seen him in quite some time.
He was pretty pumped to know you.
Yeah, in my head he's still a kid, and so it's interesting to hear that he's grown up to sneaking into gyms now and whatever else. No, but I'm happy to hear that it's like his older brother works for Supplement King too.
Oh, okay.
Or
because Landon's from Dominion City, isn't he?
Yeah. It's all connected. So
yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm happy to hear that it's in the bloodline now. The other kids are getting into the gym.
I lost
too,
my
because-
train of thought, so I don't even know where we were 5 minutes ago.
Kids that snuck into your gym.
Yeah, just for on that rabbit trail.
the novice competition.
Novice comp, yeah, about that. Oh yeah, Vita, and
Vita.
and Yancy Datseed, yeah,
Right. That was the important thing that we were talking about.
yeah. So the Tulsa show, we had Clinton grad. So I did that little mini seminar at Brick House Gym a couple weeks ago. I just went there to train, but I went there to help out and I'm like, you know what? They got a good little group of newer people that are looking to get in sport. I'm like, if I can go there and influence these just for your log comp, if I can go there and influence these guys in any positive way, and I ended up convincing the one guy who helps out Thrones with powerlifting, volunteering. Martin. Martin, yeah. And he's like, well, I'm like, you got to sign up. So he actually signed up right then. They sent me the money while I'm at Brick House, and he came and he had a blast.
Yeah,
I actually really enjoyed it. Yeah, and he said he'll help us. He's like, if you guys need any help with nationals,
anybody who lends a hand at a show is in my good books.
Yeah.
Until they fuck it up in some capacity. He came and lent a hand, just like didn't ask him at the log competition.
Yeah.
And just was like, he loaded the whole day and just.
And it's because I asked, we got the log comp. Well, I'll come there right after this, and he helped the whole day at the log comp. Then he signed up, did the comp, and he's like, I'll help you guys at nationals. So then we had like Clinton grad. He signed up for the novice comp there, and immediately after he sent me his money for Tolstoy. So our goal was if we can get at least like even 30% or 20% of the 34 people to sign up for Tolstoy or Vita, it starts building it finally in Manitoba.
Yeah.
And if you were at the novice competition, you can expect a personal message from me and Devin, and you will need an explanation as to why you don't sign up for novice competitions.
And if you don't sign up, I'll start sending you nudes.
That's right. Yeah, it'll get way worse.
And I know you look at this body, and you think it's hairy, but I'm telling you, shaved,
shorn.
The other guys.
Yes, you got
Her
it.
name is Christina.
You come to my house, you have sex with my wife. Not literally.
No, naturally. But yeah, Thrones won the guys.
Yeah.
And Kelsey won the girls.
Yes.
Both
Kelsey won the girls.
From my gym.
Yeah.
Thrones had it like down to a mathematical equation as to how he was going to win, so it wasn't really much of a question in my mind. But
you know how fast the log went?
Yeah, basically, and he had a really good day, and he's obviously there was guys who were there who were like it was a real wide range where there was guys who were like very new to the idea of weightlifting, never mind whatever. And then there was just guys who were new to strongman. There's probably 4 or 5 guys who were pretty strong in other sports. Like there was a guy, Jesse, there too, who was a good Olympic lifter. And these guys were like, and even Nate, who's just like a good like meathead bro gym lifter.
Yeah,
you know what
Nate
I mean?
was born about 2,200 years too late.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He would have invented fire.
Yeah,
and he probably
would not have invented anything, but he would have killed a lot of things. I can tell you that
probably
right
would have
now.
been the guy to have been like, hey guys, I taught her how to talk. And we'd be like, fuck you, Nate. Like, why would you teach her how to talk?
But he was a guy who was
knuckles.
Like they were all like the show was light for them, but it was just getting into the swing of things for strongman competition or whatever, and get thrown to Devin and strongman, and so it was. But those guys really all battled it out for that first and second and first to fourth.
First place was
82.5.
Second through fourth was 80 points, and we had to do a count back to literally. It took me 5 minutes to do the count back. So I'm like, well, this guy won this, but this guy matched that. And their points were so equal, all 3 of them.
Yeah, we'd go like three deep into a count back.
Like, I'm like, this is stupid. So I ended up, it was tough. Of course, we screwed up the car deadlift again, so that pissed me off. Mm-hmm. Way too late.
We underestimated the strength of the women. They were doing like 30
32
reps.
So I have a digital scale. I bought all the scales, and Brian and Gord are there early to help me set up. We took the bars across. I hung my digital scale, and we lifted the apparatus in full. Okay, it is exactly 225 pounds in the handles. And for the man, it was 404 pounds or something like that. I'm like, okay, but we put it on a bit of a pick for the girls. I'm like, 225 for reps is a good weight for a woman novice strongman, I figured. They come in and do 32 reps. Yeah. I'm like, who the frick does 30 reps of 225 kids? So then when they got to the man, we dropped it to the floor. Yeah. And so it was 410 on the floor instead, and then it slowed some of the guys down.
I think the most was like 15, which is like a more appropriate number.
No, Thrones got like 20-something, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. No, yeah, actually, you're right.
But you know who impressed me?
I think Thrones got 30, actually.
that older gentleman who showed up, he's a CrossFit guy.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah,
wrapped up and everything. I guess he must. And he did the show. And I was coaching him on how to do the log while he was doing. I think it was him I was coaching. And he's trying to get the log. I'm like, no, you got your elbows up. And he listed every cue, and he got a rep at everything, and he just had an absolute blast.
He was. I know. I don't mean to maybe whatever, but I know he's 50 plus.
Yeah.
So masters and then some. And then just giving it a shot. So respect for that for sure. Just jumping over from a CrossFit gym, I think. He goes to the same gym as like Jesse and Anna and stuff. So
I got spit on 4 times. That's a new for me.
Did you?
I was doing the car deadlift. I got spit in my right eye, and that's the eye I use.
Yeah.
So I literally stopped counting his reps I didn't give him the up command because I was trying to steal him. I'm like, and then he spit on me again, and then I got spit on in the log press. Someone like locked the log and just horked at me, and I'm like, man, I was covered in spit. Never happened to me.
That's awesome.
That was new to me.
One thing you said about there some strong guys who competed, but not necessarily experienced strongman. I think if you've never done it, you don't get how hard it is.
For sure.
Because the thing is, you whatever your split is when you're training.
Yeah.
Some people have like chest day and back day and this day and that day, or like powerlifters, you have bench day, you have your movement day, you have squat day. A strongman competition is take 5 of the hardest things you've ever done and cram it into 3 or 4 hours.
That's right, yeah.
And then try adding in cardio.
Yeah. You can be an incredible, you can have a 500-pound bench press. But if you're doing log press, or you can have a 400-pound overhead press. But if you're doing log press, but it's the 3rd event of the day, if you're not conditioned for that, you can't even. You have to live it to know how hard that is.
Right.
Yeah.
The first show I did in Gimli, I was more sore after the morning after that than 17 years of football.
Right.
Like it's not even comparable. It felt like I got hit by a bus.
Yeah.
And you guys are probably the same. My sick mind is like, I want more.
Yeah.
But you have to live something like that to know.
After you're done dry heaving and feeling like you just took a skate in minus 35, the way your lungs feel.
Yeah.
That's literally what it reminded me of. The blood you taste when you do that first skate in wintertime.
The weirdest example.
Is it not true though? Come on.
No, you're right. It's just so specific.
So specific, yeah.
Yeah, well, my bad.
Well, that's to mention Nate again. Like, that's an example where it's like if this show would have been 30% heavier, he would have won, I think.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of challenge of these like novice or even like some of the lower level SEC shows is that you see like the weights are a little light for some of these guys. Like say like Jesse or whatever who competed where it's like if it was a little heavier they would get fewer reps, but there's some guys who would get 9.
Well, that was it. So Jeffrey too, friend there, and Nate. If you looked at them in the deadlift, they lost the deadlift because they literally gassed out. They were so gassed out with the amount of reps they had to do. Where a guy throws it, he can just bang them out. And he's conditioned. He's a leaner. He's more in terms of has better cardiovascular shape. Mm-hmm. He did phenomenal. Even though those other guys probably deadlifts were similar, not at his caliber, I think, but similar, and they would have done really well.
That's why I'm really enjoying the pro circuit now because even at CSM, like you always get those like death medleys, whatever, where it's like carry, drag, blah blah blah, whatever. This one was like carry 3 things 20 feet. Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, it was great. That was like the big like cardio conditioning test, whatever. And then even at the pro show I'm doing in May, it's like yoke for 40 feet into frame for 40 feet, and that's the only.
Oh shit!
Like the rest of it's really like a lot more like pure strength in these ones, which is kind of cool.
I did a show in Altona, and it was in the days of me realizing like strongman powerlifting is probably a better route than strongman, right? And Brent always had crazy shit in his shows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
let's do chain yoke.
So we had 80 feet farmers into 80 feet yoke into 80-foot anchor drag.
That's brutal. That's fucking brutal.
And I was the smallest guy in the show. Wasn't really training for strongman. I just hop in a show here and there, and do the farmers. And you can see in the video something in my right shoulder pop, and my scapula just goes. And get under the yoke. I feel fine, but I'm absolutely gassed. And I'm dragging the chain, and I'm dragging, and I'm like, there was a time limit. And as I'm pulling, I'm like, it has to be. There's no way I still have time. And everyone's cheering for me like you're that 12th grader getting in for the last 2 minutes of your last basketball game.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like the biggest loser in the show. And everyone's like, come on, big thing, going crazy. And McDowell's like walking beside me as I'm dragging this anchor, just half-hearting it at this point, waiting for them to call time.
Just say it's over. Fuck.
And I finally finish.
Oh, they didn't yell 30 seconds left and your heart just dropped?
No, I finish. And pardon me for forgetting his name. He's fat. I'll call him what he is. Fat, redheaded guy. I think he's from Portage. Probably before your time, but you might know him.
Oh man, I don't know. I was just around up to that. He's not a fat redheaded guy. He's just a monster.
But anyways, I finish and I'm like ready to puke, and it's one of those things where you still have events after,
right?
And McDowell's like, great job. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Like, whatever. And he goes, I don't know why they didn't stop you. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you were way over time.
Oh my god!
They left you drag it out.
That's horrible.
So to further beat me into the ground and like humiliate me, You gave me like this pity finish. Like,
They made you finish. That's fucking
it
crazy.
was so bad. I was so furious. Where I'm like, I didn't want to finish.
Yeah,
Like,
I'd be bummed about that too. Actually, it's a lot of wasted energy for no reason.
yeah, and
Just
then again,
solidifies last place with it.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
completely lock it in.
Oh,
Lock
that's
it in
amazing.
last. But that goes. I think with the shows, because you said if it was heavier, Nate could have won.
Right.
And as you get more experienced in strongman, you said like Thrones did 30 reps on one of the deadlifts. As guys get more experienced, and we used to watch it happen when we like go compete with like Rayner or Dallas or Provic, just rep counting for other guys.
Yeah.
And like, why get 30 when you only have to get 12?
I used to do it to Deloli all the time, where he would get 25, and then I would be like, well, I'll just beat the next guy, and then Deloli will do 20 more reps than me, and going into the stones, he would get fucked. I did like 3 competitions, and he fucking hated it.
Yeah, because he just sends it on the card deadlift.
Because that's like his thing. So
Yeah.
he just goes out there and crushes it, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to get 26, so I would just get 8 and beat the next guy.
Yeah.
Lose
And
1
then-
point.
Yeah, lose a point. It's not a big deal. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
after the strongman competition the next day, Devin was kind enough to give me and my friend tickets to a Jets game.
Nice.
We went to see I'm a Devils fan, so I went to go see.
yeah.
Every year we go, like, since they've dropped their medical requirements at the stadium there, I've been going back to Devils games there again, and I always went. And the Devils always fucking lose. They always lose to the Jets. It's fucking. This is like the best season they've had in 20 years, and the game is 6-1 for the Jets. So it's fun if you're a Jets fan, not so much fun if you're a Devils fan. So we went to a local watering hole afterwards, and so I was sitting there kind of at the corner of the bar, and it's me, a couple friends on the other side, and then around the corner there's this like group of guys that are sitting there, and this one dude is just fucking mad dogging me, like I've never seen such a weird intent, like dead stare, like but just like staring at me.
Like it was for sure at you.
For like,
There's no mistaking.
Well, we're sitting. It was literally as far as you and me right now.
Yeah.
Like it was like so. And I was like looking at me exactly the way that you are right now, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? So, I don't really drink all that much anymore, but that night, probably five at the tavern before the game, two doubles every period.
You had a shot every time the Jets scored.
Oh God, yeah, that would have been horrible. And then those special bar eye doubles that are
Oh yeah.
usually pretty stiff. So
Yeah.
maybe almost 10 of those, if I were to guess, at the bar itself. So I'm feeling pretty good. But I was like, you know what? I'm really not like, if anybody knows me, I'm not looking for trouble. I'm not a violent guy, whatever. So I see this guy and I'm like, maybe I'm just had a little bit too much to drink. So I asked the person next to me, I'm like, is this guy fucking doing, like, is he staring at me like I think he is? And she's like, yeah, he is. And I was like, okay. So then I get the bartender. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, you're seeing this, right? And he's like, yeah, no, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, if he does it again, I'm gonna have to say something, which is not the truth. I didn't have to do anything, but in my head in that moment, I did have to. So then he looks again, and I was just like, this is all kind of hazy at this point, but I was just like, all right. And I like slapped the bar, and I stood up, and I was like, walked around the corner. I'm like, what the fuck is going on over here? Like, why are you fucking staring at me?
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, I don't know, whatever. And so his buddies are like, oh, he doesn't speak very good English or whatever. So then this guy he's a nice guy, I don't mind him, but he's always at the bar, and he's just dick riding this dude for some reason. And he's just like, oh, he comes up, he's like, bro, he's one of the Jets. Like, don't worry about it. And he might as well have told me, like, oh, like his dad's name is Terry. I'd be like, I don't give a fuck. Like, why would that matter to me at all right now? You know what I mean? Like, so he's like, I was like, I don't give a fuck. And he was like, oh, okay. And I was like, don't worry about this. And so I took that guy and I grabbed him by the shoulders and I turned him around and I spanked his butt.
I love that. I can totally I've probably seen you do that before, because I know exactly what that looked
I gave him a little pat in the butt and I was like, go on your way. And he came back afterwards and like, that was really fucked up that you did that. And I was like, yeah, probably. I'm sorry.
He said that to you?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, he
He
said
could have
something.
been a real dick about it, but
Yeah, and
he's probably going to try to do that to someone one day and just remember that forever.
Because he was really heated, and I was like, listen, man, I wouldn't have done that to somebody that I didn't like. I would have fucking just, like, stiff armed you out of the way and then have my conversation.
That is so funny.
So the guy, he is a Jet, and I don't even remember his name, so it doesn't matter. But he's like, oh, like I don't know, like, well, so he's Finnish, and he's there with all of his friends who are visiting him from Helsinki, Finland.
Teemu Selänne.
It was not Teemu. That's the first thing everyone says. It was not Teemu Selänne.
Line is back?
It was not Saku Koivu. It was not any of those guys. But he
Is Line finished?
or is Ehlers? Is he
Ehlers?
It wasn't him either.
Oh.
But anyway,
just picking on short immigrants.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the easy ones. So then I was like, all his buddies were like, no, it's okay. Like he just like he doesn't speak very good English, and I'm just like I said, I'm fucking lit up. So I'm like, well, what, his fucking eyes don't speak English? Like what the fuck? Like he knows what he's doing.
You making fun of people's eyes?
Yeah, it's easy to do. And then eventually his friends kind of are like, listen, like it's okay, like let's they buy me a drink, and I'm like,
Hold on, we're boring Devin.
Keep going.
Oh,
Yeah. No, I'm looking
Sorry, we're so boring.
I'm looking up who this guy is.
So then I was like, whatever. Like I'm not trying to get in a fight. I was just like, it's all good. I was like, just don't fucking look at me. Just don't look at me again. And he was like, okay. And so then I went and sat down. The night continues on, whatever. And then so the next day, the bartender who was working was in my gym, and he was like, yeah, he was definitely fucking like eyeballing you and blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, well, like I didn't think that it was just me, but I really wanted to be sure. And then as we're kind of lifting, he's like, so I was sitting like at that, like where the desserts kind of, because you'll kind of know, so it'll make sense to you, where the desserts kind of are. And he's like, do you think it's possible he was looking at the giant fucking TV behind your head?
No.
It was like a 50-inch TV behind my head. Oh. And I was like, I kind of sat and thought about it, and I was like, yeah.
Which was probably playing hockey.
Which was playing the Devils Jets highlights behind me. And I was like, yeah, maybe. But then I've decided to be like, no, because he would have said, ooh, TV or, whatever. So I'm opting out of that as a solution. But what the fuck's going on?
I got it. Reach around. Just give me a reach around.
There you go.
All right, okay, good.
But anyway, the point of the whole story is that I ended it with my words because I'm an adult. So
that, a great story with a great ending.
Yeah,
look at that.
And I'm a fucking dummy who has to say something.
He's a Jets player. That brings me. You guys.
I'm going to say no one more time, and then I'm not going to say anything after that but that's not who it was. But the guy ended up being like he was a nice guy who maybe he was watching the TV or maybe he was just really wasted. I don't know.
Okay,
but he was very apologetic and very nice.
This reminds me of a story when you're like, I don't care who he is because I don't know who he is. I got a story from you from years back. You guys will get a crack. It's my favorite story to tell, but it's not my story because my stories suck compared to these. My buddy Robin, he's a cousin of mine. He's also one of my business partners. His dad, back in the day, would be the 70s or 60s, 70s, or whatever it was working at the co-op in Headingley. I think it was co-op with Husky. It wasn't Headingley. He was a teenager at the time. And this is the time, I guess, there was a ton of counterfeit checks being written out. Okay. So the manager said, do not accept personal checks from anybody. So a tour bus comes rolling in. He's working this, true story, he's working the till. And this guy walks in, and he tries paying with a check. And Robin's dad's like, sorry, we don't take checks. And the guy's like, do you know who I am? Robin's dad's like, do you know who the fuck I am? No? How the fuck am I supposed to know who you are?
That's a great answer.
And the guy's like, he's like, I'm Johnny Cash. And Robin's dad's like, I don't give a shit who you are. You can't write a check.
You look like Johnny.
Yeah, it's like it's like 1 or 2 in the morning. He kept him there till 3 or 4 in the morning, and he's like, call your manager. He's like, I'm not waking my manager up in the middle of the night for you. So he has to call his manager at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and the manager's like, just take the check. It's gonna be okay. And it was Johnny Cash. Really? And to Robin's dad's like, yeah, you know who I am? No, how the fuck do I know who you are?
It would have been awesome if and then Merle Haggard just walked in the fucking door. Yeah. And then
oh shit, that's funny. That story is just, I get a crack out of it.
That's great.
Like and me and Beeks have bounced in this. Well, not anymore, but we bounced in the city for a long, long time. Like almost 10 years for me. I'm not sure what it was for you, but we've seen the Jets. We've seen them out. We've seen NHL players. We've seen the young guys flash their NHL PA cards and stuff. And
so I was going to say, I think it was Ehlers when he was young.
Yeah,
he got an NHL PA card. And I was holding a line one time. I think it was Ehlers, but I'm not. Whatever. Doesn't matter who. Shows up. He's got like pretty nice suit, like not something you wear to that bar, whatever. And he's with a couple guys. And he's like, can we get in? I'm like, well, you can wait in line like everyone else. And they're like, no. And one of these guys, like Dick Ryder, like, man, you know who that is?
It's never the guy himself.
No, it never is.
It's always his loser buddy, who's probably not really even his buddy, but is just along for the ride. And,
And the guy's like, this is so and so. He plays for the Jets, and not even with the intent of being an asshole. I turn and I go, this little guy. But I mean, our size, and then you think of pro athletes, and the guy's probably like $175,
right? Ripped to the gills, but like it just doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like
and then played the. I've got my my NHLPA card, and you're
It's
like,
like, no, I believe you. I just don't care. That's what I always said whenever
Yeah.
they show me that. I'll be like, I
Yeah.
believe you play in the NHL. I just don't give
You
a
should
shit.
just ask him, do you have your CAA card?
Yeah,
Oh,
That'd be more important to
Maybe
me.
to
Yeah.
get in. If you let me use that for my flat tire in the parking lot, you gotta let you in the line.
I find the CFL players were worse than NHL.
The American CFL players.
The American CFL.
You mean because they
fucking-
come here and make $60,000 a year and think they're special?
they were coming here. I mean, this was like a joke. This was a
kind of.
kind of yeah.
Yeah.
Because this was just like playtime for them. While in their mind, they're like, I'm waiting to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or this is what I'm getting. So who gives a fuck kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I worked with Heinley at 441, and we would see a ton of the American guys come through there, and it's like these like rented expensive cars with all these like chains and shit. And it's like, listen, man, I got bad news for you. Like pretty much everyone in Winnipeg knows what you guys make, and it's like, we all respect you. We all like football, but like, don't pretend that you're like some NFL mega stars that are coming through here. You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
And that's the attitude they carry.
It was, yeah.
Because they probably like played at Alabama or played at Ohio State
Right.
and were treated like gods. And then
Right.
they had 2 or 3 years with the New York Jets. And whether you're the best player on the Jets or the worst player on the Jets, you still get into any club and every
Right.
club. And then you come to like the crabbiest city in North America.
Yeah, everyone's
And you
better.
get a dorm, and like Tyler and I were like, so?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, it just,
What I mean?
it just doesn't matter.
Beak's like, I could have made your position. I could have made it CFL, and I chose not to. That's how much I,
I
respect
chose
your
this
judgment.
position here instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like there was. I mean, I would always be pretty upfront with them where they were like, oh yeah, I play for the whatever city, what's it, and I'd be like, cool. So you must make a lot of money doing that, hey? And they'd be like, oh, I guess. And I'd be like, well, give me some. Because they would never tip the door guy to get if you let them in early. So I was like, let's just start with that.
Yeah.
And then we can figure out how soon.
Did you ever get money from that?
No, that didn't really ever really work. And then they would usually contact the manager of the bar, and then I would get in some trouble for doing that. But
Well, the funny thing was back when I was at McDowell's, that would have been 2010, 11, 12, around there, 11, 12. You had the hockey kids, and you always knew which ones were the hockey athletes, even the ones getting ready for camps. Because you'd get in, they all got long hair, and they sit on the bikes. And we always just made fun of them. But McDowell always explained to me, because I was a very small strongman guy compared to guys like John Wade or some of the bigger guys. And he's like, even some of the biggest hockey athletes, some of the biggest guys are like, oh, he's a monster on the ice at 6'4" and 210 pounds. In the strongman world, is a very small guy.
Yeah.
Like 6'4", that's a tall, but 210 pounds, like you're not impressive in the strongman world at 210 pounds in terms of your height. So they always like strutted their stuff around the gym, and then you have the strongman guys, the powerful guys at the other end in terms of strength sports. It's two different disciplines, and it's just like they strutted like they were the big dogs, and it's like in the realm of the gym, you're a very small dude.
yeah.
Now, in terms of athletic ability, obviously they've got a little more athletic gifts than
Yeah, they might take us on that one.
they might.
If we did like a
We
jump,
pay to
jump
com-
for height, they might be.
Yeah,
able
we
to,
pay to compete, and they're making more money than I make in a year per day. So
It's funny if you think about it. Some of the hockey players we've had that didn't follow hockey, if you put them all on a line together,
yeah,
Thomas Miles, who was a CFL linebacker, Evan Gill, who
that guy was
like
an animal.
CFL defensive,
Who was
back,
also
and
great at hockey though too.
That's what
Yeah.
actually good hockey players.
Yeah.
And you're like a 1,200-pound front like forward line.
Yeah.
Like that would be the best penalty kill ever.
Well, I played beer league, or I was until the government decided I couldn't play hockey anymore. But
Fuckers.
so, yeah, you can't get on the ice because you're not vaccinated. There's open area. Fuck you guys.
I thought there was a story that I didn't
Yeah.
know. I'm like, why
Yeah.
did the government stop
Yeah.
you specifically?
All the penners aren't allowed to play.
Yeah, it's like I give him my Jets tickets. And he's like, oh, like no problem. I'm like, yeah, I don't fucking go there because I wasn't allowed in for the vaccine, but I'm still paying for my tickets. I'm like, oh, you're really winning, Devin. Here's my $12,000 a year for my lower bowl season tickets. I'm like, fuck you guys, I ain't showing up to that arena, but I'll keep buying it for corporate reasons. But anyways, our my defensive partner Russ. So we're a defense on the Bailey team. When I was at my heaviest last year, the two of us are just about combined weight of 600 pounds.
Yeah.
And he's just around 300, just for 300, and I was 265. So yeah, when it was like clear the trash in front of the net in the beer league, there's no hitting, but we're just absolutely leveling people.
Oh.
And I mean, you have and we're both only 5'11". So you got just two 300-pound blobs cruising down the rink.
That's so good. When I played Bisons at the end of the season, we would have the football team play an actual exhibition match against the women's hockey team.
Oh yeah.
Like full equipment, refs, everything.
Wow.
And we'd have one or two like dub players, maybe 5 to 10 like MJ or equivalent in other provinces. Guys like me that you can get out there and not look totally out of place, and then guys that like are holding themselves up with their stick.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a good mishmash, and it's really fun. And I broke out after a turnover once and got a lead pass. So I'm looking back as it's coming, and I look up, and there's this woman skating backwards.
Fuck yeah.
And I literally had enough time to say sorry as I smashed her so hard. Because I can skate, but I can't skate well. So I couldn't get around her. I couldn't stop in time.
Oh, sorry.
I was probably doing the wrong thing by looking back as I'm flying for it. And
Right.
I go, sorry, and just smashed her
That's
so
amazing.
hard.
Not to go back, but there was one little story I want to tell too that I thought was funny with the bouncing stuff. So I bounced with, like I said, a 4-4-1 with Adam, and
I forgot about, no offense to him, but I forgot about Heinley.
Heinley's
Another absolute animal.
if you want to talk about guys who are like just like a little bit fucking unhinged, Heinley was one of
Another
those
guy
guys
who was
for
born
sure.
2,000 years too late.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's pure caveman genetics in that guy.
Yeah.
But he hired me to work to bounce with him at this place. He was running the security, and it was me, him, and then the rest of them were all black guys. All the security guys are all black dudes because they were the business players.
Yeah.
So he was helping them get work while they were in school or whatever, and then he was just helping me because I knew him from the gym. So we were the only two white guys who were bouncing there. That's why I mentioned that. So we Adam throws
Trigger
out,
alert.
Adam throws
Minority
out
over here.
Yeah.
Adam throws out one of the American football players' girlfriends. And I, without knowing it for sure, she was definitely from Florida. So she is coming out and she's fucking screaming and throwing fucking elbows and fists and stuff, whatever.
Florida.
So he hauls her out and she kind of like stumbles down and falls, and he's like, get her the fuck out of here. And he turns around and goes back inside. So now it's just me standing there. And she turns around and she's like, you. And she thinks that I'm Heinley. She's like, and we don't look very
Zero.
similar. Yeah.
Zero similarities.
And I was like, and she was like, you. And like, I was like, me. And she was like, you motherfucker, you threw me out and blah, blah, blah. And in my head, I was like, what is she? I was like, oh, we look the same to you too. Like, we all look the same. And I was like, that makes fucking sense, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like a cyclical thing. Like, we all look this. Like, I was like,
The two white
yeah,
guys
like
look the same.
another white guy with a beard. I guess you could probably understand. We could look.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, oh, that was a big turning point in like understanding racial relations for me, was that we all look the same to each other.
The day Tyler became woke.
Holy smokes! Did you just profile me?
Yeah.
Devin actually thinks all city folk look the same.
And I was scared because that woman was ready to fucking
Hey man, I'll tell you what.
hands.
I'll tell you what. I can tell liberal when I see liberal. I'll tell you that much. And it ain't just by the pronouns.
What's our time at right now? 37. Do you want to do a question and see if we
Yeah,
can...
you know, we have a couple gooders that came
You know
in.
what? I
talking while I look 'em up.
have a good one. And just because we were fairly strongman heavy at the beginning and you guys just had a show. One of my former football kids who's playing down in Florida now, actually, randomly started asking me about strongman stuff. And he's like...
Skinny?
Skinny, yeah. You know, he said, is strongman, is it always like 1 rep max or is it for reps? And like, how do the shows kind of work? And I actually thought it's actually a really good question, because in my mind, I think a well-run show, 1 rep max shows are way too long.
Definitely.
Like,
Oh yeah, you got to run that.
It needs to be very specifically chosen and done properly. Sorry, go ahead.
No. That's it does, or limited options.
Yes.
And in my mind, your perfect show has a pushing event, a pulling event, a medley, and stones.
Yeah.
And with stones, which if you haven't done stones, you know why it's always at the
At
end.
the very end, yeah.
But in my mind,
Because you don't want to compete with a torn bicep. So
Yeah.
just at the end.
You guys have put shows on. Is there what thought goes into it when you guys are putting on shows?
So yeah, there's like, that's kind of when I try to explain strongman to someone, it's like kind of hard to encompass it into a small thing, because there's no set rules to what we have to have.
Yeah.
You will almost like 99% of the time you'll see a press in it. But you don't have to have one. You don't need to have a
No,
press.
you don't. No.
So, but let's just say that, like, okay, so let's say we're having, first of all, you choose the number of events that you're going to have. So that's creating some variety right there. It can be 4 to 6 to CSM was, 11 or something.
Oh.
I forget what it was, but it was like over
That's
3 days.
gross.
It was over 3 days, right?
Yeah.
But it was like, that's it can be that big.
Well,
You know what I
Westerns
mean?
this year is what 10 events.
Westerns is 8 events over 2 days.
events?
So,
Okay.
so
8
yeah.
over 2 is nice.
Yeah, so that's a good example of what it is. So that's already starting with some variety there. So you can pick any of the events you want to go inside of there, which is also another bit of variety. But let's say we do go with the press. What are you pressing? Is it a stone? Is it a log? Is it an axle? Is it a Viking press, which is what we're using in Tolstoy?
Love the Viking press.
Yeah, I like a good Viking press too. Is it a sandbag? Is it a medley? Is it for reps? Is it a max effort? Like, there's so many different, like, it's like you pick one thing and then there's just like a chain of things that come off of it.
Yeah.
Which is why if you ever do like 2 strongman shows that are exactly the same, like the odds of that are really, really, really low. Like you should buy a lottery ticket because that's really strange. Yeah. So that's a nice part about strongman compared to, say, powerlifting, and I think that people like that about powerlifting too, though, is like the fixed nature of it, where they know exactly what they're going to do when they get there and all that.
Yeah. I think for lifters, that's the beautiful thing about powerlifting.
Yeah.
But for spectators, that's why powerlifting sucks.
Right, and that's a good point too.
It's the same
It's
shit.
the worst iron sport to watch.
Right,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
And so I think that strongman is cool in that way where, and let's say like if powerlifting is on one end of the fixed event spectrum, and then CrossFit is on the other end where it's like chaos, anything kind of goes, and you're never really sure what you're going to get. Somewhere in the middle there is strongman, where there's this huge variety that allows you to train. So like using some of the guys who are in the novice show, for example, they just finished training the events for that, and now they're going to training the events for Tolstoy, which is like a whole different thing. And then after that, they'll train for Morris or Vita or whatever, and that's a whole different thing. And so it's like a whole season of training different things that really, let's say for a guy like Skinny or any football player, and I do urge anybody who knows a young football player to like get them involved in strongman or powerlifting or something, because they're going to want something for afterwards. But that's neither here nor there. But it's what's nice about strongman for them is that it's going to give them that variety that they get in a chaotic sport like football, where it's not going to be like, obviously it's not the same in that sense, but like you're not going to be sitting there doing the same thing training, because I think
Football's not a linear sport.
No, and a lot of football players don't love the gym. I know that. Like a lot of them, like they want to play football, right?
Yeah.
But once you finish that thing, you're going to want something else to do, and this is a good way to do it, where you can stay jacked, you can stay big, you can stay strong, and you can do a variety of different things rather than being like, oh, I'm gonna. Not shit on powerlifting, because I think powerlifting is great, but it's like those guys are working dogs, and powerlifting might be too like closed for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I actually think I actually think strongman training is so valuable while you're still playing sport.
Yeah, agreed.
For hockey guys, it doesn't have to be the insane weights as a strongman show. Like you set it to your limitations, but you're moving.
Yeah, but tell me carrying a yoke or a farm box doesn't translate through into football to having to move the guy in front of you.
Exactly. I learned this from McDowell, but flipping tires. You can spend an off season doing power cleans with someone who will never do one properly, thus not getting the full effect of a power clean, or a hang clean even.
Hang clean.
Or you can flip a tire, where you get the same triple extension.
Yep.
You're coming through the hips, and you're going heavier than what you would do.
Yeah.
So it's way more valuable.
You get that forward upward trajectory rather than just trying to bring it up.
But because American college coaches have kids who have been doing power clean since they were 10,
Right.
and coaches here see it,
Right.
They
think they need
it. They think they need it, and you're like, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the one that you saw on.
I've said for a long time that log cleans should replace hang cleans.
Yeah.
And the Olympic lifts in football, the learning curve is way lower.
Yeah.
And really that's kind of where it finishes, is that the learning curve is way lower.
Exactly.
You still get that explosive movement in the hips. You still get that same, the same principles that you want to get out of Olympic lifting, and you don't have to spend nearly as much time teaching someone to use a lift that they'll never use.
You can even use the log power clean.
Right,
With that,
exactly,
I was doing with Tom. Instead of doing the whole sit down clean, you can use the log power clean, which
Right.
would be a way better learning curve. It's crazy explosive.
It just rolls up your body, right?
Yeah.
So it's just I feel like that's something that like
Easier on the wrist than catching.
eventually somebody who has clout in the sport, like a Brian Shaw or whatever, will show that to a football coach, and then they'll start using it, and then it'll be a thing.
And it'll all come back to this show.
That's right, and then they'll owe me some fucking money.
I'm not calling anyone out because I don't know who the kid is, but I saw some Bison kid. A video on Instagram. He cleaned, and it was like $275, which is a decent clean.
Sure.
But the whole gym like went crazy for him, And in the same sit-down scrolling, Travis Mash posted a 16-year-old with a 4:15.
Yeah, some
clean.
some Texas kid or something probably.
And you know what I mean? These kids learn that at such a young age, and the kid did it, and no one reacted. Like Travis Mash posted and explained how good it was, but no one in the gym
Really gave a
cared
fuck,
because
yeah.
that's just what they do. Whereas here, it's like celebrating mediocre,
Right.
And it's just that 275 clean isn't going to do a whole lot for him on the field because it was ugly too. Like it was a terrible clean.
I actually have a question for you regarding that then. So, you always see those videos, like now we see them more where it's like the injury, which I don't like those videos, but it'll be like a when a kid's lifting and the whole team's around him and maybe the coach is there too, be like, come on. Like I saw a video of a kid benching and his fucking forearm snapped. It was like really horrible, but that's not whatever.
Yeah.
The, that moment though, where the kid is doing like a max effort lift, and it's usually pretty poorly done, right? Because he's a kid who's doing a max effort lift, and everyone's screaming for him, and maybe even the coach is there. Those get destroyed in terms of like comment sections and stuff, right? Where it's like, what the fuck is this coach doing? Why would they do this? Blah blah blah, all that shit. And I've heard it be defended as like this helps the team. Like it helps the team to we're getting a snapshot of a very small moment in their whole training cycle or whatever.
Yeah.
And whether or not it makes sense in that moment. This helps the team to come together to be like, we all made this lift happen. And I'm just curious what your thoughts on that. Like just based because you've been in that scenario. And
is that like a calculated risk? Is it the kid the pros of this for the team building might be worth the risk involved for the 1 rep max for a kid? Is that what the coach is thinking?
The former athlete and sport coach in me, I don't disagree with that. The strength coach in me says there's better ways to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of riding the fence on this.
Because what comes to mind is birthday squats.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what
Well, this
training,
is my stupid invention that kind of grew legs.
I still make people do that.
like what benefit, like what training benefit?
Zero.
Zero.
Literally zero.
Right.
We laughed so hard. There was another coach in the city.
Like getting temporary vertigo isn't cool.
We had a client who left. Clients come and go. It's whatever. It's business. Went to another gym, and they wanted to do birthday squats at that gym. And this coach at that gym was like, "This is stupid." Like,
It is stupid. It's stupid, but it's
And this client that we were still like cool with told us, like, "Oh yeah, this coach like thinks it's stupid," and we're like, "What you just said?" We're like, "Yeah, it is stupid."
It is stupid.
Yeah, and
The whole point.
it wasn't
like,
smart training. It was just
and
camaraderie.
The day I did it on my 30th birthday, when we were in the garage, which is one of the best training environments I've ever trained in. But we were in the garage. I was by myself, and take it back to powerlifting being boring. I didn't want to do my program that day, and it was my birthday, and I'm like, just came up with this calculation.
Body weight for age.
I'm going to do.
There's two variations of it.
Yeah. So
There's the one that makes sense that you just said, and the one that doesn't make sense that Beeks is about to say.
yeah.
I'm glad you taught me the one that makes sense.
So my you do your age times 10. So for my 30th birthday, I did 300 pounds, and then you do your age for reps.
Yeah.
And
I did it at 31 last year.
Yeah.
That was the last time I did it.
Yeah.
And my thing, and I did it up till I was 40.
You had 400 pounds for 40
400
reps?
pounds for 40. I had to rack it. I couldn't do it all in one go.
Well, obviously.
But I think it took like 7 minutes.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. But it's supposed to be stupid. It's like a form of self-punishment,
Right.
which
Back to
for
the
us
back
turns
to the
into...
self-harm topic.
It's a trial by fire thing.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
is it something that you started and can you finish it?
Yeah.
Because it's like I said, I did it 2 years ago now. Holy shit. And it was 30. It was 31. I was 31.
Yeah.
So it was 31 reps, and I just put 315 on because I didn't feel like fucking with the change.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I did it, and I got to 10, and you're like, fuck, this is feeling heavy, and you're like, I'm not even a third of the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, but that's that gut check time where it's like, does it have like a physiological benefit? No, not really. I mean,
No.
whatever physiological benefit you get from squatting 315 pounds 30 times, I guess.
Yeah.
But the fact that was like, well, I started this, everyone's watching, and I'm not about to put this back and not do it. You know what I mean? So there is something to get out of it. But
back to the team building thing though. I used to do one called Own the Bone, and you would get like a beach towel, tie 2 knots in the end, and kind of play tug of war with 2 guys. And that big training effect, not really. Is it pretty safe? Yeah. And does it get the team, like you get a group of basketball players and you got 1 guy on each end, and then you can deepen it by being like bet on a guy. And if your guy loses, then you got 10 prowler or something. So then the team's really like shouting and hooting and hollering, and that'll bring guys together, and it's safer than having a squat that's too heavy and a kid half repping, or a bench where he, he's completely contorting his body and could drop it on him, or the coach is doing half the lift and whatnot.
I remember one too that was cool but significantly more dangerous, which was like a reverse tug of war with the tire.
Oh yeah,
where you're trying to push it onto the other guy.
Oh yeah.
That was a really cool.
That was a fun one too.
Not a super heavy tire, but it was pretty cool though. I thought that was a neat way to put the fear of God in somebody too. Though,
yeah. And I mean, when you're gonna lose, and then you just pull shoot and get out of the way.
Yeah. Going back to the question because I was looking at my phone trying to find more questions.
We're boring you again.
No. I felt bad. Was somebody asking how we figure out the events for comp? What did I miss there?
Yeah, he was just he didn't ask that, but the conversation ended up going that way. What goes into making a show? Because he was asking.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yes. Because before Tyler helped me this year, I make all the events. So I generally structure mine very similar. But I like throwing in, like, now we got the Hercules hold, and I like making implements that you don't see a car
Which one's Hercules hold? This one?
Yeah. So that one's in Tolstoy.
Yeah.
Big apparatus, a ton of work.
There's a lot of pros who have never done Hercules hold.
No.
Like that I know in Western Canada who've never done Hercules hold because it's just not a thing that people have in their gym.
No, so we're going to bring that in a couple times, I think, throughout this year, just because it's a cool event to do.
Yeah.
I would generally structure my shows. I will always put some form of either deadlift or squat in, whether car deadlift or an axle or something, because I like to, no athlete in this area anyways. I mean, the top guys are pretty well-rounded, but they're not well-rounded enough that they're good at every implement. So I like to give the small guys an opportunity with a medley or a moving event. I like to give someone who's got a grip strength advantage. Let's give them an event that'll kind of cater to help there. And it also helps the guys who are like the static lifters, like I'm good at log and I'm good at deadlift, but I'm not good at moving, but I can win the comp based on just my place in that. I like to make them have to work for their position. Like by having to get more well-rounded those things. I always have a press of some sort, like Tyler said. You don't have to, but I always throw a press in. Yeah. Either dumbbell, log, Viking.
I think people would be pretty upset if there wasn't a press.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because I like to tailor it so everybody, you got 5 events, you can hit all the 5 different strength aspects of strongman. Not like there's only 5, but so I always have that. I always generally throw in some sort of death medal that Tyler was bitching about. I'm notorious for that. I'll generally throw it in either the second last or the last event because I haven't done a lot of stones. So I often throw the medley last just to make people puke at the finish line. I love watching guys die at the finish line, and they're just puking, but they gave it all they got. And it gives the guy who's kind of back in the placings, who has the heart. Because the guys who are statically strong, like Thorne's really statically strong, and Nate guys are statically strong.
That's where I used to get
And I'm not
points.
questioning their heart, but I'm saying there's the smaller guys, and that was always me. I had the heart, but I didn't have any athletic ability. Yeah. So those medleys gave me a chance to gain massive points.
Well, the show you won last year.
Yeah, the Manitoba show, yeah.
I don't remember where it was. Whatever, doesn't matter. But the frame carry.
Yeah, the frame carry, yeah.
You ran with that.
Yeah, no one finished the frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't, not like, hey, I can't finish, but I ran that thing in under 20 seconds, I think.
You like what tapped into your Bobby Boucher.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it
If you
seemed
watch
like.
the video, I think my eyes were straight the whole way.
Devin was the last one. It couldn't have worked out much better because Devin won the log, so he was the last one to go.
Yeah.
So some guys couldn't even pick it. Like some guys, or they get it a few inches.
And they should have.
And big dude.
It was hot handles, and guys were just
those handles are really tough too. And
yeah,
so
the skin was peeling off people's hands.
Yeah, so a lot of guys like Deloli got. I think he was like fucking
he was
8 inches
yeah,
shy or something
right
like that. He was right there. But that was the closest anybody got, and then this fucking guy just goes and beelines it right there, and it was just like, holy shit!
I actually laughed.
Yeah.
like out loud.
I'm sure you can hear me on the mic laughing too because it was just like, what is going on? Yeah.
Well, and I felt my hands tear about 10 feet into the run. I felt my right hand like it was let go, the skin let go, and I'm like, oh no! And the guys were saying their hands were tearing nonstop because the hot handles, black handles, and it was just tearing guys' hands up. I've never seen so many tears in a comp. And
I heard those black handles thought all
Yeah.
the white hands looked the same.
I actually imported those from Florida. But I felt my hand tear 10 feet in, and I knew if I let go, it would just continue tearing. So I just won't let go. I'm just dumb that way. But anyway, so going back to the medley thing, I'll throw that in because it gives a guy with heart a chance to really excel, to show that he can gut out and go until he's going to puke to get some points. I always like that. So that's why I kind of structure my comps. Always a deadlift, generally, or a squat. There'll be a press of some sort. I generally like to throw in a moving event because to give the guys who aren't as strong but can lift the implement, and that was always my advantage. I'd run with it. Arm over arm pulls I like, but you can't do a semi pull in a comp with 30 people. I don't care if some people might disagree with me, but you can't. Logistics and timeline wise, the comp runs too long.
If you could run head to head,
If you could have two identical trucks with identical, but bearings and how one will have new bearings, one will have old
You
bearings.
couldn't keep everyone happy with that.
No, there's no
same
way.
amount of gas.
Yeah,
the same flat.
Yeah.
we did
can't do
a
it.
fire truck.
Oh, I remember. Dominion
Winkler.
City.
No, I did a show in Winkler.
Oh.
And there was a dip, a slight dip, but enough that it completely halts the truck.
That was actually in Grunthal too. There was a dip you had to get past.
Yeah.
And if you got past that and it was enough momentum that you were going to be okay, but if you were going slow into that, it just stopped.
Yeah.
And then even rolled backwards a little
Well, the
bit.
Winkler dip is in the same dip in the same spot every year Brent did the show.
Yeah.
So I know what you're talking about. We did a grain truck, and two guys went before me. James Diefenbow went before me. He didn't move it. Another guy went before me, didn't move it. I was a third guy to go. So arm over arm, the truck was in that hole. I pulled it out of that hole finally, and I got it out of the hole, and I made it. It wasn't that far, but I got out of that hole. And they realized there's a hole, and they stopped the truck before the hole, and everybody else got to pull it from there. And I almost fought somebody. I fucking gave everything I had.
Why would they change it at that point? Like,
Exactly. Well,
that's just
same thing happened in Dominion City. We did the show in Dominion City. We had to pull a fire truck. I think you were reffing.
No, I was competing.
Were you competing?
Yeah.
So I did the under 105 in that one.
Yeah.
That fire truck didn't move for anybody.
Nobody moved it.
I moved it 8 inches.
Dom tried even afterwards, and it wasn't going.
No, but I moved it 8 inches, and someone
That's
else.
what he remembers.
Yeah.
I
I know what 8 inches is, guys. It was big.
I don't remember.
I moved it. I remember because me and somebody else moved it. Someone else moved it 3 inches, and because everyone took a zero but us, they gave us all zeros. But a lot of the guys after I moved it, and then the first couple guys weren't moving it, everyone else pulled for 10 seconds and quit. Well, I blew my arms up for 60 seconds trying to pull that fucking thing, and then I got a zero on it.
Because we tested it empty,
and then they filled it.
They filled it with water and didn't tell us.
Yeah.
And there was the roads were a little uneven. There's a lot of good excuses why I couldn't pull that truck. So it was not my fault though. Not my fault.
Never.
I moved
never
it.
is.
I don't
Not
give a
my
shit
lack
what you
of strength.
say.
That's for sure.
But that's how I organize a comp.
Yeah.
I like the arm over arms. I like the harness pulls, but they're a very time consuming event. You can't do it when you have, especially with the Strongman Corp thing with all the weight classes really throws a wrench in that.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to load. It's hard to load different vehicles. It's hard to load. Well, this one's got to be heavier for this weight class. It makes it really difficult to do those events.
That's why it's nice to have the variants and shows that we have. So we have the Strongman Corp shows, which are the weight class ones that are.
Yeah.
We have to run them a little bit more efficiently and quickly, and then we have shows like Morris coming up on June 10th.
Yep.
That's the Pro-Am one. That will be an open weight category for the men's and the women, so we can have.
There will be a pull in there.
There will be, there's going to be something. There's going to be things that are like more like athlete, like singular athlete oriented, where it's kind of nice for those shows because we can treat the athletes like they like I think they deserve to be treated, which is like kind of like the stars there. You know what I mean? Like we can talk about them a little bit, we can get to know them, we can interview them afterwards because we just have more time.
Yeah,
and we can do events that like lend it to being like, here, this is your moment, like. In front of this crowd, like we're not going to rush you in, we're not going to rush you out because we got lots of time here. You know what I mean? So it's fun. That's why it's if you're toying with doing those shows like Morris or Manitoba Strongest Man, like just know that it's like we put some special care in there that to know that like when you come into those shows, it's a heavy show and it's very challenging, but we let people know that. Like that's what it is.
Well, and we
that
cap
you're the athlete that's coming there and doing it.
We cap the entrance to those comps to keep under a certain amount of people so we can do stuff like harness pull, Hercules hold, the fun events you don't normally see because Hercules hold, you get a guy holds it for 2 minutes. Well, that event can be drawn on for an hour.
Right.
So those are the ones that we say for shows that the cool events that I've never done it, we can do at those shows and attract people. The show for June 10th, I had some guy message me out of the States ready to come up, a pro come out for the Strongman Corp show. So we got guys. Actually, other than that, it's been kind of dead. I don't know if you've had any interest.
I got some guys who'll be coming.
Okay, so I mean, I'm hoping that's really big. That one is because Flatland Diesel sponsored. I already have people offering their semis and offering this, so we're going to definitely do a poll of some sort.
We got 3 guys from our gym that'll be doing it, and some of the girls.
But have you heard any guys from out west saying Jeffers said he was?
I don't know. I guess they're all a bunch of pussies and don't want to. No, I'm just kidding.
Because they'll definitely all listen to this.
Yeah, they'll hear the sound of my voice.
Yeah.
Here. No, but they're Jeffers is coming, and I've seen other guys sharing it and talking about it and stuff. It's probably just going to be a matter of figuring out the
Once
travel.
you open up registration.
Yeah, and like Winnipeg's not an easy place to get to in terms of like cost of flights and stuff. So I'm sure that some people are just kind of figuring out the budgets and stuff. But either that or they're a bunch of pussies. One of the two.
And we talked about that, about people that don't compete because of
Being a pussy.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually one of those guys.
They like having the biggest numbers at Good Life, but don't want to go on stage and
Not
you
just-
know what I mean.
I feel like I need to clarify. None of the Western pros are pussies.
I'll say it to their face.
Tyler said it before the show you guys are, so don't let him backtrack.
Well,
he also said Jeffers never legitimately has beaten him in a
Jeffers is a pussy. I will say that. Jeffers actually is a pussy. Yeah. Jeffers is a big old pussy.
I think speaking of entering shows, we'll wrap up this episode and the next few episodes with Deadlifts for Dreams. Registration is open.
I have to sign up, and I'm hosting it.
Yeah.
I bet. I got to do that this weekend.
If you listen to this, I had a good conversation with a stranger at the gym I train at right now about entering it, and the guy was a little shell shocked because he's just like, "Oh, I'm just like a regular dude." He was kind of intimidated at the idea, and I'm like, we have more casual lifters than we do.
Yeah, that's the idea.
100%.
Like for every 700-pound deadlifter we have, there's more men doing 300
Right.
pounds.
Yeah.
And
that's fine.
if you're listening and you have half the mind to do it, sign up. It's an extremely fun day. It's for an incredible cause. If you're maybe not ready to do it, then make a donation. And $5 is enough. People think if I can't afford or if I'm not giving $50 or $100, it's not enough. Bob last year was one of our top fundraisers, and he did it nickel and diming.
Literally
Really?
$5
Yeah,
and $10
yeah.
donations. He
Really?
made it up to a
Wow.
couple $1,000.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And guys like Devin and I, slide some of our own money into our accounts.
I do, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow, good for him.
But if you're thinking about donating, it goes to an incredible cause, and literally like $5 here, $10 there, it all adds up.
I'm really passionate about that. Like I said, I'm a sucker for
Yeah.
fundraisers for kids. My daughter has arthritis and spent a ton of time at Health Science Center. She's not in the Dream Factory thing, but
She needs a Beamer.
yeah, she needs a Beamer. Yeah, I'm trying that machine out, that Beamer, you guys. And
We'll talk about
anyways,
that next
I'll
week.
I'll put it
that's what
out
the
there.
podcast is
I'll
for,
put it out there
for
right
the
now. Not for guys at other gyms. If you're a member of my gym at Training Grounds, and just a member who's like, I don't want to enter. If you enter Deadlift Dreams and sign up and do a minimum $250 donation from anybody, I will make you a deadlift program for free for Deadlift for Dreams only. So that's the shout out to anybody at my gym. We don't have a ton of members, but if you're a woman, man, and you're like, you know what, I want to learn to deadlift, I will make you a program if you sign up and have $250 in donations. You have to prove that first, because then I know you're committed. I will make you a deadlift program and help you. I'll teach you deadlifts to help you get to that event.
Well, how can you beat that?
Yeah. And you have to be a member of my gym.
Yeah, there you go. Sign up.
So there's your requirements, and I will
Your
help
fees
you.
have to be up to do.
Yeah.
You have to help clean.
So we got Deadlift for Dreams in September. We got Tolstoy coming up March 27th. No, March 27th. January, February, March, April, May. When's Tolstoy?
May 20th.
Attaboy.
May 27th.
Okay,
We're
May,
in April now.
May 27th. We got Morris in June,
June
and,
10th.
and Vita in July 1st. So
July 1st, yeah.
Busy summer. That's
We'll stick
awesome.
it with the next three
Yeah.
shows. We don't need to get too much further than that right now,
Nope.
but those are the important shows. At Beakley Mobile, at Deadlift for Dreams, at Training Grounds Gym, at Devin Penner, at Strong and Petty, at Red River Siding,
At Manitoba Strongmen.
at Manitoba Strongman.
I think that's it.
That's got to be fucking it.
I
That's
think that's
got to
it.
be
That's
it.
all 5 of mine, yeah.
Your OnlyFans?
Yeah, your only fats.
Yeah.
At Iron Edge Strength, and then at Chud Life is my personal one if you feel so inclined.
There we go.
We good then?
We good?
I think you have our best outro so far.
Go fuck yourself. I
There we
guess.
go.